What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking our top 20 quarterback rankings and tiers for the 2023 fantasy football season. So make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comment section. You agree, disagree? Who would you have higher? Who would you have lower, and why, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And as you can see, we have got our rankings and tiers pulled up for you right here. So without further ado, let's get into it. And probably the first three names here in the tier one group, to nobody's surprise, are Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts in that order. Now, I think you can make the argument that any one of these top three guys can be the first quarterback drafted come August, September in fantasy football drafts. I just happen to think that Patrick Mahomes is, the most consistent, and in terms of pure passing yard, passing touchdown upside, kind of the highest. Good situation in terms of coaching, good situation even without like a Tyreek Hill, what he did last year, just being Travis Kelce, and then seemingly some other just pieces as wide receivers. He was still able to get it done. So that's why I have him at the number one spot. But again, I think it's really splitting hairs. If you want to have Josh Allen, who he's my number two barely as the number one guy because of what he can do with his legs and the touchdown upside that he has on the ground. And the fact that he's on a loaded offense with somebody like a Stephon Diggs as an alpha over there, and an improving, potentially rushing attack, things like that, just improving wide receivers as well, then okay, no issues. Now, maybe this is a story for down the line. If Stephon Diggs gets traded or something like that, then that's a different conversation, but as of right now, that's not the case. So I've got Josh Allen at the number two spot, and then Jalen Hurts. Again, he comes in at number three, but don't pay attention to the rankings when it comes to the tier one category. Who's one, who's two, who's three. All these guys should be the first quarterbacks drafted. And Jalen Hurts, you could say he's in the best offensive position out of all Mahomes and Josh Allen in terms of the weapons that he has. You've got Dallas Goedert, you've got A.J. Brown, you've got Devonta Smith, you've got a good offensive line. It's great. Added running back help as well. So that paired with what Jalen Hurts can do with his legs obviously makes him very formidable as well. So the first three names, to nobody's shock, they're probably going in the first 3-4 rounds, depending on how much your league values the quarterback position. But again, that's a conversation for a different time. How to build out the roster, when to draft the quarterback. Right now, we are purely looking at where these guys are on our ranking list, on our tier list. Now, we go to this tier 2 list here, and I only have two names, and the reason for that is simple. These are the highest upside rushing quarterbacks in the NFL. They are Justin Fields, they are Lamar Jackson. And, the passing upside, definitely not there. But what you can do with your legs at the quarterback position, especially in fantasy, makes up for a lot of shortcomings that you might have as a passer. And I think there's no two better guys that illustrate that point than Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson. Now, I think Lamar Jackson is the better passer, but he has some more injury concerns than Justin Fields, which is why I had Justin Fields ranked higher. And I also think he has a little bit more rushing upside. Maybe Baltimore says, hey, Lamar, cut it down a little bit on the rushing. We've got a healthy J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, things like that. So we'll see. But I think either one of these guys, whether you want to have Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson, as that next group of quarterbacks, if you want to flip one with the other, I have no issues there. Both have upgrades on the offense. Justin Fields, obviously adding DJ Moore, that's huge. We'll see if he can take the next step. The offensive line has been improved. Lamar Jackson, that entire Baltimore wide receiver core has seemingly been upgraded. Odell, Zay Jones being drafted. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But to me, even though they have shortcomings as passers, I think because of what they can do with their legs, their floor is so high that they should be in that next category and kind of find themselves because of that in that number 4 and 5 slot, respectively. Next, we go to this tier 3 list, and I have 3 names here. They are Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence. Again, here, the difference is really high passing upside, but they don't have the rushing upside. And even though Joe Burrow might throw for, 1,000 yards more than Lamar, and that's probably being, on the low end, it could be a lot more. He could still finish lower in terms of fantasy performance than Lamar, assuming they both play the entire season. But what Joe Burrow can do through the air and the offense that he has with Jamar Chase, with T. Higgins, that offensive line, Joe Mixon, if you even want to look at Boyd as well, that Cincinnati offense is dangerous, and Joe Burrow can get it done. So I think he's in the next tier list. I think he can definitely, all these guys in this tier 3 category can end up being top 5 quarterbacks. So I really like all 3 of them. And honestly, in terms of values, where you can get them as opposed to maybe the first 3 names on this list, I think they give you the best bang for your buck. Number 7, same situation, Justin Herbert, Chargers, absolutely loaded offense. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Quinn Johnson being added, a great offensive line. I think he kind of had, a little bit of an inconsistent year last year, but that offense dealt with a lot of injuries. So I do think Herbert will bounce back. I think he's extremely talented, and I think he's going to put it together again this year. And then number 8, Trevor Lawrence. For the first couple of years, there were some struggles. And we thought, hey, Trevor Lawrence, was he what was promised to us? But he got it together towards, the end of last year. And I think this Jacksonville offense is trending upwards. I love the addition of Calvin Ridley. Christian Kirk surprised a lot of people. You have got Travis Etienne there as well. You finally got a competent head coach. That helps. And I think Lawrence has taken that next step to join these elite passers in the NFL. So I really like him in that next tier 3 group. Now, looking at the tier 4 category, this is where it gets a little bit longer, and there's that bigger separation in my opinion. At 9, I have Dak Prescott of Dallas Cowboys. Barely misses out the tier 3 group, but I think he's just a little bit too inconsistent for me. That's what worries me here. And when you have guys like CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, now Brennan Cooks, and you're inconsistent, that worries me a little bit. So that's the only reason why, but I still think he has a very, very clear path to a top 10 finish. So I'm not worried about that. And again, you're going to get him at a pretty good value. Then number 10, Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. He could potentially be, that diamond in the rough, which it kind of feels weird calling him that considering what he did in the Houston Texan days. And the fact that, last year he didn't play for such a long time, then was kind of thrust into it, and the rust absolutely showed. But he started to look better. I really do think a full offseason with the team is truly, truly going to help, and we could see Deshaun Watson evolve. So, this is kind of an upside play here. You're going to notice that here. There's a couple of upside quarterbacks that I'm projecting because of what they are capable of doing. And, that Cleveland offense, a lot of playmakers, a lot. You've got Amari Cooper, you've got Nick Chubb, you've got the new added Elijah Moore. DPJ was making a lot of plays last year, David Njoku, so really excited there. And then in terms of upside, Aaron Rodgers with the New York Jets, what we saw last year with Green Bay was a far cry away from what we've come to know of Aaron Rodgers. But now going to New York, those positional groups are on another level. You've got Garrett Wilson. You added Alan Lazard, obviously from Green Bay as well. You've got Breece Hall as well at the running back position. You've got a pretty good defense. So in a much better situation, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come back with a vengeance this year and is going to be one of the best values at the quarterback position. And speaking of great values, Kirk Cousins, come on, folks. He gets disrespected every single year, and I feel like I'm disrespecting him here, putting him at the number 12 spot. All he does is quietly put together top 10 fantasy quarterback finishes. But the reason why I have him here at 12, I think some guys that just finished a little bit lower than him last year, some of the younger guys are going to take that next step forward. There's going to be less injuries, things like that. Obviously, we're projecting everybody plays a full season. And just because of that, Kirk Cousins lands at the spot. But the Vikings are going to throw a bunch again. They've got Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson they traded for. They added Jordan Addison. So Kirk Cousins is going to be, in that quarterback 2 category, high-end quarterback 2, not going to be sexy, but he will get the job done. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to do a lot worse than Kirk Cousins when it's all said and done. Then at number 13, we've got Tua of the Miami Dolphins. And with Tua, the biggest question mark, can he stay healthy? Because when he was healthy, we saw the signs. He's in an absolutely loaded offense with Tyreek, with Jalen Waddle, a slew of running backs, a creative head coach. So the upside is definitely there. He hasn't put it together for a full season. That's why he's lower on this list. But if he can stay healthy, I do think there's a lot of potential with Tua. But again, I wouldn't feel as comfortable with him as I would with the other names. In fact, he was also almost in my tier 5 category. And speaking of that tier, let's move on to Daniel Jones, the number 14 slot of the New York Giants. Had quietly a pretty good outing last year. He's another one of these guys that sneakily, because of what he can do with his legs, salvages a lot of his value. But again, I really don't think that he's on the upper echelon of the rushing quarterbacks like a Lamar or a Fields. And, his passing ability also very questionable. So that's what worries me here. I think he's a very mid quarterback. I don't think he earned the contract that he got. I don't think he's worth that. But because of what he can do with his legs, because he's going to vulture touchdowns in the red zone, he's going to be a top 15 quarterback. And this is where we get to the category of not necessarily sexy names. It's going to be a situation where you're going to be looking to the waiver wire. Some of these guys are proven vets, and they can get the job done, but it won't just be set it and forget it type of situation. At number 15, we've got Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. A great season last year. We'll see if he can do it yet again. It's all about consistency with Jared Goff. That's been the case all his career, really, and how much a team just lets him take the reins. But Detroit, as long as they continue to sling the football like they have been, Jared Goff, the upside is going to be there. Like, you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You sure lost TJ Hawkinson, but you added Laporta. And then once Jameson Williams returns, that's going to be a nice little boost there as well. You've got good running backs in Gibbs and Montgomery. You've got a great offensive line. So I do think Jared Goff is going to be serviceable. At number 16, I have got Matthew Stafford, the 2 quarterbacks that will always be kind of linked together of the LA Rams. Now, with Stafford here, I think he's very talented, but, he was close to retiring this year. Injuries. I don't love the situation with the LA Rams. I still don't love that offense. Yes, Cooper Kupp is great and all that. And Stafford is proven, and I think an underrated quarterback. But the injuries there concern me. The offensive line concerns me a little bit as well. His age concerns me. But if he plays a full season, I do think he's going to be a good value. At number 17, we've got our first rookie, Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. The question here is, how early does he start? If, we enter August, September, and the Colts have said Richardson is our starting quarterback, Richardson is going to go up further and further on these rankings for us. And it's, again, all to do with what he can do with his legs, kind of that Lamar, Justin Fields type of category. Don't love the arm, but you got to love the athleticism. You got to love the size, and you got to love the rushing upside. The talent is there as well. If he is given the reins as a thrower of the football, and he shows good signs there. I mean, you've got Michael Pittman, you added Josh Downs, Jonathan Taylor, good offensive line, slew of tight ends. So I like the situation for Anthony Richardson, even though if I had to bank in it, I think he's going to be a guy that produces more so towards the end of the season. a lot of times what happens with the rookie quarterbacks. At 18, we have Russell Wilson of the Denver Broncos, one of the biggest letdowns of last year. Folks, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with Russell Wilson. Is it just because he finally left the Seattle system? He's not as protected and he was forced to do it on his own? I don't know. Is he washed? He could be, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. You're adding Sean Payton, the quarterback whisperer as the head coach. So if anyone can fix it, it's Sean Payton. That offense is loaded at wide receiver. Greg Dulcich at the tight end position. We'll see what happens at running back with Javonte Williams. But Russell Wilson has all the weapons available to him. I just don't know if I can get over what we saw from him last year. The next tier for us, Geno Smith, kicks it off, tier 6 for the Seattle Seahawks. And you're going to probably say, you are disrespecting Geno Smith so much. He was close to a top 5 quarterback last year. How can he almost be outside of the top 20? To me, it comes down to, again, a couple things. I think literally last year he struck gold. All the stars aligned. We've never seen that version of Geno Smith. And again, you've got other quarterbacks entering the league. You've got guys returning back from injuries. So I just think naturally Geno Smith is going to fall. I think he is going to be a quarterback 2. I mean, as soon as we really got into this tier 5 range, we've been in the quarterback 2 category. I think here we're like in the low end quarterback 2s. I understand that Geno Smith could surprise a lot of people again, but you're going to find me hard pressed and honestly shocked if anybody's drafting Geno Smith as a top 5 quarterback in 2023, kind of expecting what he did last year. And then finally, Derek Carr of the New Orleans Saints, going from the Raiders to the Saints. I believe in the talent of Derek Carr. I think that he was underrated, undervalued with the Raiders. I think he's in a good situation with the Saints. They've got playmakers, folks. They've got Olave. They've got Michael Thomas if he can stay healthy. Obviously, Alvin Kamara. Jamal Williams was added in case Kamara, is suspended. And they've got a decent offensive line as well. But let's be honest, when it gets to this tier of quarterbacks, it kind of becomes a crapshoot. So you look at the talent, you look at the production, and I think out of all the names that we could have, mentioned here, I think Derek Carr probably makes sense to be in the top 20 considering what he's done before in his career. So he rounds out our top 20 quarterback ranking and tiers list. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comment section. Did you agree, disagree with our rankings? Who's too high? Who's too low? Who did we omit maybe? Along with any other questions you guys might have, we will do our best to answer them all. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we will see you guys in future videos.